Still polite and kind and friendly when I'm high. Still getting by, still keeping it all on the low when nobody's asking why. It's been 2 days that I cried. It's been 2 days that I cried. Can't believe my mind, yeah, I guess I'm getting a thick skin. Although I'm losing weight and I'm way too thin. Apparently, people like to judge you when you're a girl, especially. Some people think they have the right to tell you what to say and think and eat. Wait, do you want to feed me while you're at it? Instead of giving the help we all need as addicts. See a bag of drugs and I grab it. Slaves to our own inventions. Send love through the phone. If you don't, that's a bad habit.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Helen Ojeru. Some people call me Helenique, and they have known me as a drum therapist, a sacred sound therapist, and a musician, drummer, percussionist over the years. And so for that, I include some musical component into the recent summit that we did with Women of Truth, who were sending out their messages to young people and then youth experts that joined in our project to actually contribute a very important message of motivation, support, and guidance to young women and men around the world right now that might be facing many new challenges that were unexpected in their lives due to COVID and lockdowns and all the instability of their educational systems, maybe changes in the way they were looking at their futures, career building, etc. And also, in order that we all recalibrate, rearrange, and review the way we're looking at our future generation and how we can begin to understand the greatness of this opportunity that we are all facing to reshape the future and build a new world. So I would love to first welcome my guest tonight is Savi Kaboo. She is our vocalist and songwriter, and I say our because we've sort of taken her under our wing for this project and decided to celebrate a young musical artist inside what we're doing. And this was our chance to send a message. And I think for tonight, what I would love to just have you thinking about is the power of the creative process. Music, sound, song is a very powerful way of being able to work through difficult feelings. And a lot of songwriters, musicians, and creative people understand the power of this creativity. And tonight we want to share it with you by example through the songs that Savi's written and through her own experience and expression of why she chose this path for her life and what it brings her to be a songwriter in the world, how it helps her through her life. She has very beautiful things to say about it. Before we get to all the deep discussions and introduce even our guests, I just want you to know that we are on the live stream tonight on Aha Intelligence, which is the YouTube channel. If you have any comments or questions, this is a good time to know about our event. Every night you can add those comments and questions to the live stream. We have tonight and one more session tomorrow. So if you want to ask Savi a question, that's a good place to do it. And over to you now, Savi. Welcome. It's absolutely lovely to have you here tonight for a full session. We get to talk about you and your music. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's really great to be able to talk to a young voice, a young mind, a young heart. And you are definitely somebody that has given some deep thought to the work that you do and the creative process that you're busy with. So I wanted to extract that from you tonight to help other people to look at whatever their creative gifts are or their curiosity around their creativity and to begin to think about how they could put that a little bit more central in their life, because I understood from you, and I know it myself too, that being creative in life can be an enormous gift. It can really help us process a lot of difficult things. So tell me a little bit about you and your music, and how has the creative process of being a songwriter helped you to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it helps a lot because art is always like from the subconscious. And when I write songs, I just realize things that I don't really have in my conscious mind yet. So I'll just write very intuitively, and when I look at it a few times and and read it a few times, then I understand what I'm actually saying and like what I'm feeling, and it helps me just understand anything that I'm writing about better, or like how I'm feeling better. Yeah.
Yes, and of course, then we know that there is, you know, these different ways that our mind is communicating with us. And I think when we are still starting out understanding that, it's a bit confusing. You're not quite sure why, you know, certain things are helping you, other things are not helping you. But when you begin, as you say, to look more deeply at it, you see that there are these deeper aspects to the way we're living life. There's these thoughts we have, feelings that come up, and sometimes even things we end up doing, we may not really know the real motivation behind it. But when you start to accept all of that as a deeper experience in living, there's definitely ways where the creativity we have in us is helping us access more about who we really are and what we are hoping for or needing in life. So it's a really important thing to develop. How did you connect with your creativity as a younger person?
It was always like a fun thing to do. So like a form of playing. And I always loved colors and painting and just music that I kind of feel that makes me feel a certain way. So I always loved a lot of different kinds of music and just kind of sang along to it or like played along to it. And yeah, it just happened then that I kind of had something to say all of a sudden, like when I was I think 20. And yeah, that's when I just started writing my own songs, and I never really did that before because I never like learned how or anything. But it's just like a fun thing to do and kind of an urge that I have, like to just say, I have like things to say and I want them to be heard. So yeah.
Beautiful. So important to hear you say this, because on our Women of Truth for Youth Summit, we've had some experts speaking every night about different areas of expertise that they have around young people and the work they do with young people. Some are mentors, some are working in universities, educating people for college or university. And what came up quite a few times is that the young people that they've been exposed to and understanding, the younger generation, which might be 20 years younger than the people that were speaking, for example, they've understood how important it is for people in your age group to have a voice. There seems to be a much stronger need than previous generations for young people to feel like they're being heard, like what they feel, what they think, their opinions matter to the rest of society. And you just said something about that you personally, you know, want to be heard and want to be understood for what you're feeling. And definitely if we start to realize that this is an important need we all have as human beings, and it's so refreshing to see it expressed at a younger age so that people don't go all this time in their life feeling misunderstood. And that there's, you know, a real way to contribute to the world. I think we could have some very important things changing, because when people start to speak out about what's important to them, we can begin to really contribute, you know, we can see those people contributing more to what's happening. So tell us a little bit about the things you've learned about being a musician, a songwriter. Yet you've been producing an enormous amount of work. For those of you that don't know, Savi has about 60 songs. So as an example of a creative process, you can see that when someone starts off a creative journey, it's possible to be very productive. You can get very inspired. You can get many ideas and you want to express them. And you have, you know, different ways of doing that depending what your art form is, or whatever your modality might be. If it's not a creative process, we can be very productive as people. And in that journey, Savannah, I imagine you learned a lot that you've sat back and thought a little bit about in terms of you, your career, and what it's like to be a musician in the world or a songwriter in the way that you are, where you cross genres. Like I've heard you say many times that you don't have one fixed style, and I've heard your music move from being MC, rapper, hip hop, into jazz, coming out into kind of softer, I don't know what to call, maybe more world music style, maybe, or like ambient, or kind of mixed with electronic. Very interesting changes happening in the creative process. So if you can reflect back a little with us now and tell us, what have you learned about being a creative musician, songwriter? What's come up along the way that you've been realizing could be wisdom for other people that maybe want to do this, or other people that are busy with it? Your insights.
Yeah, I'm lucky because I don't like have any contact with a label or anything, so I can really do whatever I want with my music. And I learned that there has to be some kind of structure in it. And in the beginning, I didn't want that. I just wanted to like do everything intuitively. And I had to like learn how to actually structure things so that they can be processed better by people. Like everything needs a structure, and there are all these rules. Creating it really helps, and I actually got addicted to it. I think, like, I can't even imagine before, like 2 years ago, I wasn't doing this at all, and it kind of just, I don't know why it even started, but something just shifted in my mind, and now I can't really go back. So it's like something that I'm constantly doing, and it's just kind of like, and it's like, this is who I am now. Like I just turned into that, and my mind just kind of does it automatically. So like I usually write songs anywhere I am, like whenever I'm thinking something that sticks in my head, I just start to write a whole song about it. And I learned that it helps to work together with people a lot, because when you're doing it alone, then it's all like in your own head, and there's no interaction and like actually saying it out loud to someone and hearing yourself and hearing what you're saying. That helps, like, to have someone to talk to about it and like get feedback. So yeah, I like to kind of get other people involved too. And like I had to allow other people to like give me feedback and be open for that too, because if everything's just coming from me, then it's not really gonna improve so much. And I just like a lot of different styles, and so that's just what I do. Like I do any kind of music that I like, and it doesn't really have a definition and or a style that's defined, but people like to define everything kind of. So that's kind of something that I might try to do, because it's like good to put things into words. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I'll do that, because it's just fun to like do everything that I like, but it's a lot.
Yeah, you say some really interesting and I think very important things for the whole journey of life, especially if you're a creative person. It can be very difficult to share the process because it's such a personal thing, it sounds like, for you. And also you spoke about it becoming really automatic, like a form of expressing yourself, to just write a song. I mean, that can be the hardest thing for most people, but for you, it sounds like it got to a point where it became very natural, organic, and like in a flow of being who you are. So one important thing for all of you watching, if you are going to go down this road, or you're thinking about a musical career or a creative career of any kind, is to listen a little bit deeper to what Savannah was saying about the real importance of being able to take feedback. That's something you said, which I think was very interesting. And it can be a very difficult part of any journey is to have others evaluate you or tell you honestly what they think about what you're doing. And, you know, we talk so much about our egos, but unless our egos are really healthy, it's very hard to do that. So sometimes we have to build that strength in our sense of self to know that, you know, we're still worthy, we're still great, even if what we produce is difficult for someone else, or they don't agree with it, or they think we can improve it. It doesn't mean they don't like us. And that can be quite a tricky thing to manage. I know I've spoken to fashion designers who have to have their outfits assessed and evaluated. I mean, we've seen these programs on Netflix where, you know, even makeup artists are going through grueling processes, like you say, where they're getting feedback, and it can be brutal. So I understand why that's really hard. And the other thing you said, which I think is important for other people listening to know, is that collaboration is very powerful. Like, I've seen you collaborate the last while as well, and heard your music change drastically in many ways. And just even the change itself is such a powerful way of seeing your growth. Not that it's better than or worse, or you know, it's just different, that we grow and expand. So very important to think about partnering up with people that can help you develop what you do, or maybe even just take it to a new place, really being able to collaborate. And then you said something also about just your own personal expansion in that you started becoming more allowing and more able to sort of flow in learning from this. What do you need? And I think for all of us, adults, young people, creatives, not creatives, it's a really important skill to be able to reflect like that, you know, being able to look at what you're doing and see what could help me, you know, develop this, improve this, how could I go further? But something I found really interesting, Savannah, and I want to point it out to people listening, is you said something quite profound about your ability, and I think it speaks to your courage, not just as an artist, but also as a person, and as you develop your career. I would, you know, wouldn't be surprised to see this developing more and more, is an ability to begin to understand that your process is really yours, but the end result becomes ours, a shared experience between you and an audience. And to be able to match what you're doing with what the audience feels or needs is one of the most difficult things, but we all have to learn it in business, in working for a company, in being your own entrepreneur, in setting up your own business. And I think particularly difficult for artists, because you paint something and you really love it, and then you want to sell it maybe, and people don't love it the way you love it, or they don't understand what you painted, or the rare time, which can happen and does very often, which is pretty amazing, is people see in it something incredible and they absolutely love it and they're prepared to pay you the world for it. So we never really know what the market or the audience is going to think about what we produce, that result that we end up sharing. But certainly there is a skill, and I think it's a true art really, but really a business skill, to be able to understand the market. Like you say, people like to define things. And this was very profound, because I've heard one of your songs, and we're going to listen to one very soon, because tonight is a musical night. We don't just want to be chatting away. We want to also really listen to the great results that Savannah's been producing. We've noticed that in the world we have to be matching up, certainly as a business skill or as an entrepreneur, how my audience understands what I'm doing. It's becoming really, really important. And am I serving them value? So if the world is stuck in labeling things and having genres for things and, you know, defining things, then in some way to match the thinking of the world, I have to come in a bit more familiar, or a bit more with what people are waiting for or know about, before I can take them to a new place. And there are those rare people, there really are, that are going to be interested even beyond those labels without being defined, that want to go to a new place. But again, to attract them is something you started thinking a bit more about as as a professional, like how do I support my listeners to sort of know I'm going in this direction, I'm going in that direction, or I'm eclectic. We see Gaga, for example, having the fame and the fortune to be able to define herself as she wishes, and people will follow because everyone knows Gaga and they know, okay, you know, I'm going to get that when I listen. So it certainly can become possible to really lead people to new places, and that you're starting to think about audiences is really, really great. So I'm encouraging young people as well, if you're going to start an entrepreneurship project, or if you are thinking about serving a community or building up a following of some kind, is to think about what do those people really need to understand about you and what you're doing. How do you really connect with them? It's a very, very important part of being successful in sharing your work. What did you say, Savannah, has been the biggest challenge?
I think the description of it, like that categorization of it, because there's just so much that I like, and I also like the freedom that I have. Like there's no real box that I'm in. Yeah. And I actually like that. And yeah, it's like maybe I'll be in a box eventually that like has multiple genres in it or something, but it's like it's just hard to like know exactly one style that
yeah.
Yeah.
We have so many things in common in that, because I also have a lot of friends, colleagues, peers in my industry of work where we talk a lot about this, where a lot of marketing is saying, go in this direction, niche it down, be very specific. And we keep arguing that, hey, we more cross spectrum, interested in many things, really curious entrepreneurs, and we like to work in different sectors. So please don't keep putting us in a box. And we slowly discovered that there's actually a new style of understanding intelligence, and that there are groups of people that like and work very well with the diversity, people that like to have many options, and they have a different intention, maybe also a purpose to integrate things and to actually try out different styles and have different expressions is a very important part of being able to do that. So you could very well grow into an artist that creates a song like Queen did. Freddie Mercury was one of the pioneers of being able to bring in these different genres in one song. He went like fully Baroque in this rock song that he wrote and broke the tradition. Some people loved it, some people hated it. But it was his expression of how do you make this so unique and so full of possibility that it expands in a crazy, amazing, beautiful, classic way, and then take it to a whole new level. And some people said, no, that's wrong. You don't mix all that stuff together. And he was like, no, that's new. That's innovative. You do. And look what happens. So having pioneers bring new versions of things is something we all want to see, we all absolutely love. So I, for one, really support the ingenuity that comes from doing it your own way. And again, also the skill of being able to look at how do I then still connect with the audience where they are at, because they may not be on that new planet of understanding. They may still be sort of on Earth wanting it to be reliable, familiar. Do I understand it? So it's a very interesting journey, and I'm really excited to see where you head on to your journey next. And as we get ready for another piece of conversation, I'm inviting everybody to listen in to the music of Savannah, and you can find this on her channel, which is called Savi Kaboo. She's also on Instagram. But right now we're going to listen to a track, and I am going to play it to us off YouTube itself, which means you can actually even go there and check out these songs whenever you like. I had it ready, but I see now I have to get it ready again. So please just bear with me. We're getting there. Here we go. Okay, so we're ready to listen to a very interesting song by Savannah, and quite lucky if you hang in with us today, you're going to be able to check out one of her newest songs as well with us, a new release tonight. And here we go.
Just my kind of guy. Always high, on drugs all the time. I get high every time he looks into my eyes. He's so fly, he asks me to come by. He's so fly, he's so fly. He's so I don't really know what the fuck I should reply. Yeah, we just been stupid, that's some shit I can't deny. Always keep my guard up cause I gotta amplify. If you say you know me, I'll say right. I just know the drugs, that's insane shit. Running out of things that I can take next. I've been with the guys just to get ends. And I don't really want to play it. If my heart is all the line, cause he does it all the time. I hope that he's trying, cause I do this all the time. Told you I can bring my drugs. Can you bring the wine? I need that I'm way too crazy. Ask me, I think that I'm fine. Let's get stupid high. Let's get stupid high. Too much on my mind. Let's get stupid high. Let's get stupid high. Let's get stupid high. Too much on my mind. Let's get stupid high. It's just you and me and all the drugs. Think I'm picking anything that I'm thinking of is you. Are you tripping? Yes, I do. I feel cool and I'm feeling so damn new. Are you through when this shit wears off? I guess I never knew that I come out of this feeling better than the way I was feeling. I walked into this room. You know that I'm extra reckless at this altitude. So let's talk it through. Do you know what we should do? Me and you, yeah. Let's get stupid high, let's get stupid high, yeah. So much on my mind, let's get stupid high next. Let's get stupid high, let's get stupid high, yeah. So much on my mind, let's get stupid high. I think I'm tripping when I'm with him. Look into his face, I think I'm slipping. I keep slipping on this drinking and we're slipping away. I'm falling too deep into a place that I can't take back home. I don't really know why. Let's get stupid high, let's get stupid high, yeah. Too much on my mind, let's get stupid high next. Let's get stupid high, let's get stupid high. Too much on my mind, let's get stupid high. Stupid high, 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 stupid high.
Very interesting song, which I really want the chance to go into a little deeply with you, Savannah, because I think we want to begin to address really many of the changes that have been happening with young people. It's very clear that we're living in a way very different to before, where we have access to many different ways of getting high in life. And I think in that song, it's really clear that firstly, congratulations on a really amazing video. That's a very beautiful video to watch. I love the graphics, the artistry of it. And I know a little bit about the way you've done your videos in the past, totally self-taught as a musician and songwriter, as you told us before, and then also self-taught in using video and creative process to create your own music videos. So congratulations, because I think that's incredible.
One, my friend did that one. But some of them I've done myself, yeah.
Yes, I know some you've done. The one we showed a few days ago, you did yourself, and I know some you've also worked on professionally with other musicians when you collaborated. So still very, very great to see how much of your own marketing you're involved in, because I think nowadays with the internet, it's possible. But also we're living in a culture so different to before, so much more stimulation, so much more open discussion about policy, about, you know, human rights. So many issues are discussed in a way that they were very silenced on before. And we've lived in communities where people have been very suppressed and very repressed about sex, drugs, etc. I mean, I don't know if you know, but in our generation, when we were younger, our parents were talking about the time of sex, drugs, and rock and roll as the 60s. And it was a very isolated time where things started to kind of open up, and people were discussing much more about creative thinking and independent thinking. So where do you think things are right now in the world? How do you see them? In that song, you talk about exploring or being involved in drug culture. And I just wondered if we can open up that subject tonight a little bit, because we have young people watching this, and it would be really good to know how to begin having these discussions more honestly and more openly with people that maybe could give guidance and support when somebody is not feeling okay or in control of the choices they're making as a young person when it comes to drugs, sex, or rock and roll, whichever one relates. But more so, like you as a young person writing a song like that, what inspired you, and what do you think about the drug culture you live in nowadays that you see around you?
Yeah, I wrote a lot of songs about weed specifically, and like legalizing it because it's not legal in Europe where I live. Well, not yet. And I just think that it's very frustrating to think about people who like have to be in jail in the world for things that they did that didn't hurt anyone. And yeah, I just really feel like it's not fair, or there's like no reason to have some rules that like they don't make anything better for anyone. I don't know. I think like forbidding things doesn't help anything, especially drugs that people can always kind of find a way to get. And it just makes everything harder and unsafer. And so I just really want drugs to be legal, and like people to be taught about them and how to use them safely, and like people who want to use them to be able to do it without such a great risk. And so, yeah, because I think people that want to do it will do it, and forbidding it will only make it more dangerous.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people agree with you about certainly cannabis, and there's been a big campaign around legalizing the medical use of it. And of course, you know, in places like the Netherlands and more places now, I believe South Africa as well, a few others, there have been a lot of changes to the use of cannabis and looking at it as a plant and as a type of medicine, a lot more research on it all. So important to realize that so many young people do see the picture changing around drug use, and legalization of certain drugs is something that people feel strongly about. Some people certainly more than others. And being able to have these kind of conversations with adults, parents, people that have, you know, had experience with drugs, if you are involved in drug culture or in the use of very specific kinds of drugs that you feel are hurting you or your life, I would like to also just remind you that you have support around you. There's many people that can guide and support you. And of course, being able to talk about it is so much more important than silencing it. So that's really the message tonight, is that you see, even in this conversation here, we start looking at what do we really feel? What are our real thoughts about something? And how can we begin to talk about that to see if, you know, I have things to learn about it, or I have other guidance or ideas I can give to other people about what I know. Let's see if we can have conversations about these things that we're normally afraid to really talk about. We're moving on to this new song called Off My Mind. Tell us a little bit, what was that song about for you, Savannah?
Yeah, it was about like being mentally attached to someone and trying to forget them, but having difficulties or not being able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So this attachment, this deep connection we start having with someone, and how it can become so challenging for us. We're going to listen to that song right now. Such a beautiful backdrop in that song. So many inspiring images, and so many beautiful ways that the song actually moves from your previous one you showed us into quite a different song space. So I really liked the video of that very much, and I wondered if you can tell us a little bit more about the challenges a young person faces. We've all been there when we get older, but we forget, of really heartbreak in general, but just saying goodbye to people emotionally. There's an aftermath, like a real difficulty that some people just block off and push away, and other people go into it so deeply. So just tell us a little bit about what that song taught you about heartbreak, or about how to come to terms with saying goodbye to somebody?
I think when I wrote that song, I was just really embracing that state that I was in, because it was like I started doing music when I was really, really sad, and it just suddenly happened. Like I had to express it with words and like poetry. So I guess there is like a good side to all the intense emotions, even if they're negative, because I probably wouldn't be doing this if I hadn't had that. And I was just like, I don't know how to control my mind and like forget someone when I want to. And so I was just saying, okay, this is just how it is, and I'm not gonna try anymore to like stop because it's not working. So I'm just gonna really accept that that's how it is right now. And yeah, that's really what it was. I was going into that thing that I was trying to actually get rid of, like that feeling.
Yes, this accepting it at the end of the day, in what you just said, at the end of the resisting it, but then having to write about it, putting the words out, that somehow takes you to that place eventually where there's this almost helplessness to do anything other than just accept it. And I think this resignation, this kind of struggle, you know, that to accept certain things about life, this is definitely one of those where we bond and connect with people, but somehow our paths separate, or sometimes they're not good for us and we have to make a decision about that. Sometimes they leave or they pass on, you know, and this can be very challenging.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to you for going deep into that, because I think as an example, you set a tone for young people to realize that it's not uncommon or a problem that they might feel that way too in life. Because I think when you first realize how deeply you can connect to someone and what that pain is when they're not there, it can be quite confusing what to do with it. And sometimes we're not sure how much of that is something that we've done to cause pain to ourselves. But actually, when you realize it's part of life and everybody goes through it, and some people might feel it more than others, or some talk about it more than others, or sometimes it's more intense because of what happened to you. It's still hard, but it does give us some comfort. So having that song out there and sharing with anybody out there, if you're listening, that you know is struggling with saying goodbye to someone or being, you know, in that detached place, that could be maybe a good idea, something you could do to help. So we have one more song coming up here now, and I've also put all of these together with a surprise one on the box for the live stream. So you're very welcome to go back, have a look at those, listen to them, and take a look at Savi's Instagram. If you see her posts there, you'll notice that she's actually producing a lot of different tracks that keep coming every week. So you can actually follow and see this musical journey unfolding into the future, see where she's going next. That's going to surprise you when you see what she was up to this year as well. So Savannah, we're moving on to this very special song that for me speaks volumes in its title, but also it runs very deep into the work that I do as a clinical psychologist and a spiritual teacher, a conference founder. The whole reason why we do this Women of Truth work is to help us all realize the power of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about alignment, I talk about certain things, and I'm sure when you talk about being aligned, you are talking about some things that are similar, because we've had a chat about the song already, and I could see such great resonance. But I just wanted to share with people a little bit more about why a song like this is on our posts together here, and why it's important for us to think more deeply about the power of being aligned. And I first came across this when I went to study personal growth with a group of people called the Landmark Forum. And they were called that because the training they were doing for 2 days was very much like that, a landmark in your life. You know, like you go somewhere and you say X marks the spot. And let's say you see a beautiful view from there. Then you think, well, that's a landmark, you know, like that place will always be a landmark on that road for me, or it's a landmark in my life. It's a memory I won't forget. And that Landmark Forum was pretty much an experience very much like that, because it sort of poses very specific questions to everybody listening. You go there and you listen to someone talk at the microphone, and then you start popping like popcorn, meaning you start getting really frustrated or really upset or really angry about one or two things that the person says at the microphone that is meant to trigger you. It's meant to kind of wake you up out of your comfort zone and make you question the nature of your own being, the lifestyle you have, the things you believe, the way you look at the world. And it's based on this amazing style of philosophy called ontology, which Socrates developed. So it's a psychological workshop process, personal growth course, you could say, for a weekend around how you show up in life. And it's based on this process of ontology, which was a style of thinking that Socrates developed. It was like looking at the way you're showing up in life, the way you're being, and then the results you create. And so they used this word alignment very specifically there. And of course, I've heard it before when it comes to getting your body in a straight line, being able to move in an aligned way as a dancer and as a child studying dance. I came across it many times in the physical body as a way of getting the body aligned. But now I was hearing it in this more abstract way. And I'll just share with you why I liked so much the idea to share this song with everybody was because in the Landmark Forum, it was made very clear that if you're not aligned, if you don't connect what you think, you feel, and you do, if these three things are not aligned, there is confusion in your life, in what you think, feel, or do, or there is a loss of power. And what does that mean when they say loss of power? Is that you start to maybe feel not so great about what you're doing, or maybe you have thoughts that are kind of negative. You don't really have this kind of power in your life that you could have when you get what you think, you feel, and you do aligned. And when you shared about this song, you said something that was so profound that I understood that you understood that. And this is why you wrote the song. And on some level, you were tuning in, I think, to your own life journey in becoming more into your center, becoming more connected to the core of who you are, what's important for you, you know, how you kind of get quiet and peaceful, and also tuned in to Savannah, find out your own personal way of being and really become committed to that, or honor that, or purify that in some way, which is also very important as a pathway to be able to get those three things aligned in us. So when there's too much noise in our heads about what that person thinks, or what they want from me, or why I'm resisting something, or why I don't agree, there's just a much more difficult way to ever do that. It's so hard to kind of get aligned. And when what you're feeling, let's say very, very sad for very long, and then you maybe start feeling like a victim, or you feel like the world's against you, or whatever it is, again, very, very hard to get aligned. And let's say you're doing stuff that's hurting people, or lying to people, or simply not what you wish to do. Let's say you're following a degree or studying something other people want you to study, for example. Again, very difficult to get aligned. So when you said what you said about the song, I thought it was very profound that you'd chosen that name, that you feel this about this particular moment of your life, and you had an understanding that if human beings were able to get more centered and more connected to themselves after all the noise, that we would be able to connect with ourselves in a way that would be able to open us up to one of the most powerful and pure energies of them all, which is a deeper love for the world, for ourselves, for each other. And I think that's a very profound way to understand the responsibility we have to ourselves in order to make more love happen in the world. Because sometimes we just say peace, 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 love, 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 peace and love and light, all these ways of trying to wish well. But it needs something to happen before we can, because when we do lose our power, we stop being able to truly love ourselves for the right reasons. And we look for a lot of other things that we can do to make ourselves feel good. Maybe it's, put that picture on Instagram and get a lot of people to respond. Or maybe it's, say this to the boyfriend or say that to the boyfriend so that he relaxes, or many, many things. But it's much more important to begin to ask ourselves, what can I do to feel at peace with myself again, so that what I think, feel, and do is one connected thing, that there isn't a break or a stop between these three things where I essentially start to lose integrity with myself and I become more confused, more frustrated. So that is one of the most powerful things I've heard from a young person about having more peace in the world. And I wanted to give you a platform to speak about it, because I think when people hear the song and what I've just explained as my way of resonating with you about that, we can all begin to think more deeply about how do we take responsibility for getting ourselves more aligned, so getting ourselves into a deeper harmony with what we need, what we want, what's important to us, so that our voice can be pure and well heard. We can communicate clearer what we say we want, we do. And when we're doing something, there is a true meaning in it. Because when we have more of that on the earth, on this planet, we would have a lot more people out there that are, like your song says, aligned and centered. And then they can offer something that is of value, that has meaning to themselves and to others, and spend less time in the noise. So with that, we're introducing this beautiful song, Aligned, and I'm going to play it for us first, and then I would love you to share more about the song itself and the process of it. Mm-hmm.
Comparing you to forest and maybe beautiful to keep growing without me. And maybe I should stop putting the focus on the chorus that won't be heard by anyone but the ears that surround me. Felt inside of just cause I have to play it loudly. Scream along to it till my neighbors know about me. And the thoughts that I have to avoid, feelings dripping to the floor while I cry and dance and sing. Look outside you by your wings, cause I should feel like an angel. Wings growing through my skin, tearing at my back and it's painful. Cause every time I fall in love, the devil possesses me and tortures me, and I just can't get enough. I like being alone and feeling pain in my every bone. I'm moving in, so I just don't. Unless there's music, when there's music, then I'm doing fine. Yeah, when there's music, I get into it. I feel crazy in my headline. I was writing so sublime messages I put into these people's minds, but also into mine. I could sit in silence, but I'd rather sit and rhyme about alignment and other crazy shit, only to distract me from my last bottle of wine. I don't drink a lot, but when I do it in a short time, always do what they forbid. My freedom, they do call a crime. I could care, but I just don't have the time. You could show me pictures of the past, you, back when no one had you, back before I met you. That's true, you know I speak from my heart when I say you are cute. I just want if I can do this. You're so alive with your cuteness. You're so alive with you. I just don't know if I can take this. You're so alive with your greatness. You're so alive with you. Unless there's music, when there's music, then I'm doing fine. Yeah, when there's music, my game is good. I feel crazy again.
All right, so as you're hearing this backdrop of music rolling in, you'll know that these are all songs that can be on the playback on YouTube, one after the next on YouTube. So you'll hear many different tracks from Savi Kaboo. And that one we just heard, Savannah, if I'm right, is kind of one of your first hip-hop versions, and that is a video that you did yourself, correct?
Yeah, I did the video myself, and I had some more hip-hop songs. Those were like my first releases were more hip-hop too.
Yeah, and that song is very interesting when you really listen to the lyrics, as are many of them. So you even have some videos where the lyrics are actually written out so people can follow. Because I know when you do MC or rapping style of vocals, it's sometimes hard to follow every single word. So for those of you that really like to go deeper into the music and you want to understand the message, we can recommend that you go and check those songs. But tell us some of the stanzas, some of the lines in Aligned, and what that song really means for you.
Mm-hmm. So one thing is like when there's music, I don't feel crazy. I get aligned because it's like I mean, as an artist, you can feel like people think you're weird and you have so many emotions and you always have to express yourself, and some people just aren't used to that and think artists are just crazy because they're maybe different than they themselves are. And I just feel like when you have an art form to put all of that individuality into, or like all the things that you have to express, then it makes you feel like you're not crazy. Like it has a reason and there is like something that you can do with it. Like that's your, like what you're meant to do, your purpose, or like just a gift that you have, that you can, that you see things your own way and that you're different, and it's not like you're crazy. Like no one's actually crazy, or who's to say what's crazy. It's just like I'm aligned with myself and I'm just doing what I want to do, and that's like no one can judge that, because it's like I can judge it myself and just be like, according to my standards, I can just be, yeah.
Right. So being able to decide ourselves about what is good for us. And I think when we get older, we have to reason out some very difficult life decisions and we have to live with them. So it is a good practice to sort of learn to not listen to people labeling what we're doing. And I know your other song, I'm Still Me, speaks so deeply to that. And it's something we played right at the beginning of the summit, and something that Dr. Jindal last night from India, someone who started his own business in robotics, built up these amazing gadgets that he now produces in this company. And also someone who trains mentors in over 60 countries to do the same, to build up their own businesses, to start somewhere and really invest yourself into something you're passionate about. So someone who really understands the journey of entrepreneurship, of succeeding at something, really giving it your all, being passionate. You're saying something that totally confirms his message as well, which was, you really can't afford to listen too much to what everybody else is saying or doing, that really the competition is with yourself, not with anyone else. So it's not about trying to outdo someone or be better than them, or even, follow on what they think is important you do. It's more about becoming better than what you can be yesterday, or improving and growing, expanding, what you were last year. Mm-hmm. So if anything, if there's any place to measure up, or, try to kind of succeed at, or what is the word, agree with, it's you with you and your potential best. And this is a very, very beautiful message, I think, for us all, is that we can start a new world as we come back into getting active in the world again after the lockdowns and all the challenges we've had. We can choose to take this opportunity to really build a new way of starting again in life. And the starting again is something we all create together. We can imagine a new way of working with each other, a new way of working with ourselves that doesn't include this kind of doubt about what we can accomplish, or this anxiety and stress about having to do it the way other people think it needs to be done. That, we really are able to choose for ourselves. And so I like very much that you wrote the song for that. And many people listening, you can actually also remember that it's a reminder for you to get aligned with yourself and with your level best, and to begin to bring your own beautiful self to the foreground, so that you can decide what's good for you. And, you take other people's advice, other people's guidance, if it's resonating or it speaks to you, or it really helps you, keep it, nothing wrong with that, to be inspired by others. But when you start feeling this doubt or insecurity or pressure or anxiety to have to be what everyone else is doing, or to be better, or to compete, just to be mindful that that may be destructive to you. I want to thank you, Savannah. It's been lovely to have you here tonight. We have one more call with Jude Anumudu tomorrow night. He's a young leader from Africa who's actually built a platform for young leaders around the world. And if you want to hop on tomorrow just for fun, you're very welcome to come and join us, maybe as a surprise. And maybe we can show one of the songs you did here in Cyprus as a musical video with the jazz musicians, Nicolas Trifonos and many others who played on that track. So it would be nice to share that video. I know you did a really nice thumbnail for it on YouTube as well. So those of you out there listening who want a little bit more depth, a little bit more music, a little bit more inspiration, we have one more for you tomorrow night, 7:30 Central Eastern Time. I want to share with you tonight the message that I recorded. It's a 2-minute video from me about the way that you can think a little bit more about being your own person in life. And it's also coming to you from the Women of Truth live stream that we have from our guests who were actually on the Women of Truth conference at the beginning of the year, women who came to actually revolutionize the future of women's health. And each of these guests spoke about a specific area that was very unique to them. Some of them have shared their videos with us, and tonight I will be sharing mine with you. Once again, I had it ready, and now I have to wait to get it ready again. I don't know what's happening, but I'll get to that very soon. And my message to you tonight in this is to think a little bit about your own unique individuality. I know young people now are much more focused on being true individuals than ever before. And that's a very special thing, but it comes with a certain amount of responsibility. And I speak on this video just a little bit about the power of being you and why that's so important for the rest of the world. And I invite Savi Kaboo to this whole expression of young voices coming forward, because she is very much a unique, creative individual in her own right, and expresses more and more of that in the work that she's doing with her music. So great example for us, Savannah. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure having you. Do you have any last message for our audiences or anyone watching?
It was really fun to be here. And yeah, my new song just came out tonight. If you want to hear it, It's called Dysfunctioning, and I have new releases every 2 weeks.
Excellent. Great. So people can follow that with at Savi Kaboo, yeah, on Instagram. And if they put that hashtag Savi Kaboo, they can find, I'm sure, lots of things online about you and really get to your channel as well, yeah?
Yes, thanks.
Excellent. Okay, everybody, message from me for tonight, just 4 minutes worth, and we'll be signing out with this. Thanks so much, Savannah. Lovely to have you. Okay, everybody, last words from me tonight.
My name is Helen Audrey, and I'm very moved to be able to share with you my message. If you're a young person, this is for you. If you are a young leader, look to build your future, this is also for you. We're running the Women of Truth Youth Summit, and every special guest that was on our Women of Truth panel, Revolutionizing the Future of Health, is bringing a message to young people. And I was one of those speakers, so I would like to share with you a very important part of my journey and how I think it might help you navigate yours as you move into your future. So for me, it was a very important journey growing up in South Africa. I learned so much about the value of what different people bring to the community. And what I mean by that is that every single individual has a very unique way of being able to contribute to the whole. And of course, we live in a world where many people tell us what that value is, or tell us what they think we can contribute, or even what they want us to contribute. And it can become very confusing because then we start thinking we have to live up to that expectation, or we have to become what other people want us to become, or even we forget about a part of ourselves and start to mold ourselves and shape ourselves to be what others expect from us. And I think for me, the most important thing about all of this was realizing that that's not the only way to deal with people's expectations. And that in fact, I needed to find out for myself what it is that I could bring to the table. And this led me to make a very bold decision when I finished school to go and study away from home. Now, some of you might think that's not such a big deal, but in my Greek community, it was a very big thing to leave the family, the community, the area where I lived in, and to go independently out into the world. It was like flying out of the nest. And in a lot of Greek communities in those days, because I was born to Greek Cypriot parents, that's kind of rare. You don't really, at least in my family, I was the first person to study at university. You don't really go out there and spend a lot of time away from the community, from the family. There's a lot that the family offers. There's a lot of ways that we support each other and that we all live into this common idea of what everybody should be and could be doing. So my big message
And as you can see, that was going to go on a little longer, but it didn't pan out. So I wanted to bring the closure to that video to you today to say that this has been one of the biggest learning curves for my life, was to then have that opportunity to go away to study and to really boldly, let's say, do something that maybe the rest of my family or community hadn't done. Maybe some didn't agree with, maybe some were even hurt by, and some felt was a great risk, you know, that there could be lots of different things that I would experience or that I wouldn't experience that would shape my life in a way that, let's say, they wouldn't have control over. So whatever that looks like in your life, whatever that bold decision is, if you truly believe it's something that's going to help you expand and get to know that deep place inside of you that will then know what your value is, or what your truth is, or what you're here to bring. I want to encourage you to do whatever it takes to do that journey. It could be studying, it could be traveling, it could be taking a new job, it could be starting a very specific relationship where you get to know a part of yourself that you know is very important for you to discover in order to know yourself better. Because there's nothing greater in life than knowing more about who you truly are and what makes you unique. And the most powerful thing we can all contribute to each other is our originality, our uniqueness. What is distinctive about me is very distinctive to you. So each and every human being has a kind of thumbprint on the planet with who they are. Just like your thumbprint is so unique, you as an individual are so unique to the whole. And the beautiful harmony in life is learning how to balance what makes you just like everyone else, remembering how you are just like everyone else, and remembering what is so different about you. I heard from many experts that there are new challenges coming to young people from what they're seeing, what they understand, and also incredibly unique opportunities that weren't ever around before. And one thing that I heard was that there seems to be a loss of direction sometimes as a challenge. People don't know at this young age what they should be doing, what direction they should be following, and maybe even sometimes question if they truly belong. Do they belong here? Do they belong to this community that they're in, to this family, to this industry, to this university, to this college, to this school, to this group of friends? Do I belong with these people? Do they understand me? And my message to you in all of this tonight is to connect this to even that question. Is this power of your originality is something that connects you to absolutely everyone. Because if you can see that in anyone outside of you, what is unique about them? What gifts are they here to bring? What is their truth? What are they gifted with or talented with? Or what is very special about this person? Those could be the people that form your special soul tribe. And so these are people that can actually be the ones that understand your uniqueness, your originality, and respect yours if you can theirs. This means that you belong anywhere, and you belong everywhere, and everyone the same. And so it's up to each of us to create that sense of belonging for others, and to look for others who can also make us feel warm and welcome wherever we are with them. The power to do that, the commitment and the conviction to succeed at doing that in life has a lot to do with how much you truly know yourself and how much you truly love and value what is unique and special about you. So you can see why, yet again, I'm suggesting you take the time to ask these questions from yourself. What is it that I think I can do that will help me truly understand what I need, or truly understand who I am and what makes me original and unique? So I'm wishing you the best in that inquiry. I really hope you get clear answers from your deep inner voice. We heard so much tonight about the power of the voice, what expressing ourselves through the voice, through our expression can do to help us manage all the complexities of life. And also some very important messages about how we are still who we are, no matter what other people think or say about us, that we have ways of being aligned in us and getting back to our center, finding out what that inner voice is really saying. And then, of course, to really belong everywhere and anywhere in the world, we need to truly know ourselves, love ourselves, and always hold very high our originality and unique value. Thank you to all of you for watching. Thank you to all my guests on the whole summit so far, Dr. Beth Bakar for your wonderful contributions, and for Dr. Monish Jindal, for Dr. Nancy Juneja, and for Dr. Shauli Mukherjee. It's been beautiful to have you. And thank you to Amber Leon for her wonderful contributions as well. And then to you, Savi Kaboo, and to Jude, who I speak to tomorrow, thank you so much for bringing your young voices to this platform, as well as to Bianca Filo, our human rights lawyer, on Monday night, who talked about the challenges young women are having to take up space. We value so much all the things you're sharing with us, the challenges that are taking place, but also silver lining through all these discussions, the incredible opportunity we all have to create a powerful, powerful planet where we are more conscious, more empathic, more creative than we've ever been. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Good night and take care of yourselves. I'll see you one more time tomorrow. And if you have the chance, catch me 1 hour earlier for a very powerful chat, a heart-to-heart with Viola Edward, an award-winning mentor, both of us psychotherapists, talking about the mental health awareness that we've all developed the last year. This is Mental Health Awareness Day tomorrow, so it all fits beautifully together with the end of our summit, where we're going to be focusing a lot on the mental health of young leaders for the future and how we can all take more responsibility for taking care of ourselves at the highest level possible through all of what we've been going through. Thanks again. Good night. Ciao, Savannah.